Hello everyone. So, Yakuza 7 is on its way to wrapping up, sort of. There's not a lot of side quest stuff that's actually left in the game. There's, like, I think maybe less than 10 sub-stories left that I'm doing because some of the numbered sub-stories are tied to the relationship system, which I didn't do and don't really care about doing. Because that's just going to be adding a bunch of grinding for money to buy the flowers to make bouquets for gifting. And I'm already going to be grinding for the post-game dungeons. So I kind of want to talk about, like, I have a lot of stuff that I've thought about doing. This is not an exhaustive list, but for various reasons am not wanting to do them next, but, like, this is stuff maybe in the future. Like, the most likely ones here are Code Vein or the Saboteur. So I kind of want to talk about some of the stuff I might be doing in the future on the channel. This does not include stuff that I'm for sure going to stream and then upload archives of. This does not include, obviously, stuff. It doesn't include stuff that hasn't come out yet that I know I want to play, like the new Saints Row. And it's, even in terms of stuff that I already own, it's not exhaustive of stuff I want to do. So let's talk. Basically, all of these would be through my PC. I don't know why I put platform. So first up is, I don't know how readable this actually is, but Super Mario RPG Armageddon. This is a massive content mod for Mario RPG. It adds some stuff to the main game, but it's really mostly post-game bosses that are like Final Fantasy or other RPG related. It's really cool. I didn't realize it, but there is a version 9.1 coming out that's a balance patch and adds some more stuff. And I think that's going to be the final version of the mod. I would be playing the Content Edition because there is a... let me highlight what I'm talking about. There is a Content Edition which I'd be playing because I'm not good at Mario RPG's timed hits, and Armageddon adds double timed hits and timed hits on attack spells. It's rough. The mod is directed by Dark Kefka, who's a JRPG YouTuber, and it's kind of like, it's emblematic of what they like in JRPGs, which is a lot of bonus bosses and crossovers and arena quests and item hunting. Next, Star Ocean Second Evolution. The port of Star Ocean The Second Story to the PSP. That I've had emulation issues with it. I don't know if PPSSPP has been updated to fix that or what. It's not available digitally, and I don't want to start and then have it turn out like, oh, there's an emulation bug like 15 hours into the game, or I don't want Square Enix to finally announce they're localizing Second Evolution R. I need to rant about this for a second. So, Star Ocean Second Evolution R is a up-resolution of Second Evolution, released on the Switch in Japan. It's exactly the same, other than looking nicer, slightly, at a higher resolution than the PSP version. They could insert the script from the PSP version. They don't have to go to pains to relocalize it. And then they released the First Departure R, which is the PSP remake of the original SNES game, to bring it in line with the second game. They localized that. Just let me buy Star Ocean 2, Square Enix. Next up, Edge of Eternity. This is not going to happen anytime soon because they have a roadmap that goes into like the third quarter of next year for updates that add content, and I don't like going back to an LP that's been finished because they updated it. Especially because, like, you know, I might just stomp the new content instead of playing it naturally. So I own the game. I bought it, like, on its final sale before launch. I just haven't played it yet because I want to play the full package. Tales of Zestiria and Tales of Berseria are kind of a 2-in-1 deal. They're both extremely long games. Zestiria has an infamously overcomplex, like, passive skill system with its equipment. And Berseria is a prequel. But Zestiria came out first, so there's the chronological versus release order issue. Yeah. It's, also 60 and 70 hours. These are long even for Tales games. Final Fantasy IX, it's a long game, and I'd be playing it blind, and it's really hard to do a true classic justice like that. Like, 7, you know, it's gotten more of a mixed reception as the years have gone on, so it was less like, I have to be all positive. I was happy to make fun of the stupider moments in that game. But, like, 9 is basically completely beloved, so I'm terrified of doing it. Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. This is kind of a twofer because I would also be doing Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair. But, oh yeah, I haven't been going over the genre. Mario RPG, turn-based JRPG with timed hits and other inputs for spells, modded version. Second Evolution, action JRPG, heavy on a unique crafting and skill system. Edge of Eternity, a turn-based JRPG. Tales of Zestiria and Berseria, action JRPGs. Battles are separate from the field. That's a new thing in Arise, that you just fight things in the same field. Final Fantasy IX, ATB, turn-based JRPG. Danganronpa is a visual novel / first-person adventure game. About 25 hours. That's mostly because it's going to take longer because I'd be reading a lot of it out loud. It's really more of a 15-hour game to play on your own. And a lot of reading out loud makes it hard to record a lot of, and there's fairly little traditional gameplay, like the trials and investigations kind of, but it's mostly dialogue. Caligula Effect Overdose, a game that turn-based JRPG. I'm very interested in this game because it's written by Satomi Tadashi, who is one of the major writers on a lot of the 90s, or late 90s and early 2000s Atlas games. Like, he was on Persona 1 and 2, the Digital Devil Saga games, I think the Devil Summoner games. Apparently, the original version was fairly bad, but I'm still, like, interested to see if the Overdose edition helps it. There's also Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, a turn-based monster collector, fuser, breeder, tamer. There's a lot of stuff in Digimon as far as I'm aware. But apparently this game has a fairly poor translation that, like, detracts from the experience. And it's my first experience with a very complex series of RPGs, so I'm not so sure about recording it. Also, it's 55 hours. I'm using how long to beat main plus extra time here. Borderlands 2, the first-person shooter ARPG crossover. I'd be playing it modded with the community patch, which just makes gear and skills better, because in Borderlands 2 you kind of end up using the same stuff usually, so this would at least give some variety. It's also a very long game, and I don't know where to draw the line on the LP because there are several endpoints. There's the end of the first playthrough with all DLC, there's the end of True Vault Hunter mode, which is the third playthrough. There's getting to OP level 10, which raid bosses do I show off and count as having to kill, there's a lot of stuff, so it's hard to tell like what I need to do. I don't mind the item farming at all. Elex, a Piranha Bytes game, an action CRPG is the best way I can describe it. Those games are very dense, and I want to play their earlier games first. Just, like, because I like seeing the evolution of a studio who basically makes one style of game. And Gothic 2 is a game that seems cursed for me. Class of Heroes 2G. It's a Japanese dungeon RPG. Kind of wizardry-ish, but it does its own thing. Problem is, one, I'm not experienced with the dungeon RPG genre that much outside of Etrian Odyssey. I played through Elminage Original and Demon Gaze 2, but I didn't absorb them, I feel like. It's a very repetitive genre to watch, and it's an obscure game, so I don't know how well the current version of RPCS3 works with it. And I'm not buying a dungeon RPG for $50 digital, let alone whatever it costs physically. Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition, isometric CRPG in the Infinity Engine. It's basically, there's some story, but it's basically strictly gameplay focused, so there's very little to talk about because it is 2nd edition and I'm bad at those games. I just kind of murder blob usually. Code Vein, which is a Hot Topic Souls-like anime action RPG. The problem is it's a very easy game in the genre, so it might be really boring to watch. Monster Sanctuary, which is a Metroidvania monster collector with turn-based combat. Updates are coming out for it, and it seems like something that I would stream rather than LP, I feel. The Saboteur, a very cool, older, open-world stealth action game. I'm bad at stealth, but it's very cool. Like, it's set in, I think, Nazi-occupied Paris, and you're trying to liberate it by sabotaging the Nazi presence. Also, killing Nazis is always fun. Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139 ellipses. No, that's actually the name of the modern port. Action JRPG, bullet hell, many more because it's a Yoko Taro game. It's fairly long, and just the nature of a Yoko Taro game makes me think it would be better to stream for more live reaction stuff. And the actual gameplay itself is kind of just okay. Like, it's the second most playable Yoko Taro game, the first being Automata, but God Eater Resurrection, which is kind of a cousin to Code Vein, but it's Hot Topic anime Monster Hunter. It's pretty long because it's a Monster Hunter type game. It's very grindy because it's a Monster Hunter type game. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, open world action JRPG with a Western, like traditional Western fantasy coat of paint. It's very long. There's a lot of downtime where nothing happens, where you're just kind of running through the world, maybe killing some trash mobs, but there's, like, the excitement comes in fighting bosses and stuff. But it's like, travel isn't a challenge, so it's just kind of there. Blasphemous, a supposedly Souls-like Metroidvania. I don't want to do it right now because it's getting a content update in December, the final one, before they fully start working on developing the sequel. Of course, there's Neverwinter Nights modules, isometric CRPG using 3rd edition D&D. There's no guarantee of quality with these, and widely varied power levels in treasure and generally giving out XP makes it kind of hard to carry characters through multiple adventures, which is what I'd want to do. And then Pokemon Radical Red is the last one I added to the list. Turn-based JRPG monster collector mod. It's Pokemon. It's a pack of Pokemon Fire Red, but I think it's still getting updated, and the one person I know of who consistently watches me is very unfamiliar with Pokemon, and there's a lot I would have to go into because it's a very big difficulty content mod. Yeah. So, you'll notice a big problem. Super long games. And I'm just, like, after Yakuza, I kind of want to play some shorter stuff. I need to look at, like, some itch.io games, I think. Not because there's, like, any inherent quality difference, just because there's a lot more smaller indie stuff to check out over there. Anyway, I hope this was informative. There's some input that I'm sure some people, well, that I'm sure the one person I know of who watches this will have. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you in the comments.